Welcome to episode 6, which could possibly be our longest episode. Day-to-day living costs, travel and transport. This includes cruises, holiday packages, holiday accommodation, airfares, interstate and overseas travel, vehicles, including motor vehicles, motorbikes, vehicles, devices, modifications or products that are not legal for use in the relevant state or territory, any mechanical repairs, registration, flip the page, personal mobility devices including e-scooters, transport for children as part of their reasonable care and support provided by families or carers, petrol, diesel and gas. So we are going to go...
It's only a short one.
One at a time.
Go to Mark first.
Cruises, holiday packages, holiday accommodation. So obviously this is going to cross over into STA a little bit. We are going to do a whole episode on STA, so we'll only touch briefly on the holiday side of it now. You can still go on a holiday and you can still take a support worker with you.
Yes.
You pay for your holiday, you pay for your airfare and the support worker's airfare, unless you work out a good deal with them.
Yep.
You pay for their other stuff. I mean, I have had a participant that went on a holiday overseas and he did a deal with his support worker and she paid for her own airfare. And then she supplied this many hours of support, and then the rest of the time she was free to do whatever she wanted to do. So there is some negotiation. I know that you have heard some concerning things.
This one is like a can of worms. So I've heard from multiple participants that have engaged with delegates that have all heard different feedback in regards to STA.
No, STA, we're talking about holidays.
And holidays.
Yeah.
So
Different.
There's often a bit of confusion there as to what is like a holiday, what constitutes a holiday, and what is like STA or short-term accommodation and respite.
Yeah.
A definition that was given to me by a delegate is that short-term accommodation and respite is a support that helps to maintain support relationships, give people a break from their day-to-day living environment, and allow supports to have a bit of a break, but also allow the participant to have a break and keep things fresh and going.
And short term was pointed out. And short term.
And short term. So there actually hasn't been a great deal of change made to the price guide in regards to what constitutes respite, though the actual delivery environment has always been quite like flexible, and with the addition of like these rules around what's in and out, it also raises questions over like what is included inside that support delivery. So it's not necessarily that the NDIS is going out and approving tickets to Disneyland and saying, yeah, you can go on a all expenses paid cruise to Jamaica. It's more focused on like these actual arbitrary definitions of supports. When short-term accommodation is funded, it's a whole amount for a daily cost to deliver support, activities, accommodation, and food. Though you'll see on some of like these lists that food's included on the no list. Accommodation's also on the no list, including like hotels and the like. But that's contradicting with the price guide. Some people are saying that maybe there's contradictions to allow supports to continue while this transitional period's taking place, but there's very little clarity over what it actually means on the ground. I've got a lot of people that are actually cancelling plans.
We've had 3 STAs, and we're out of pocket significantly, where the plan managers are like, because we have a thing now where we seek approval first. So like we say, yes, does the person live with somebody?
Yes.
Do they need respite? Like I look into it very closely, and then I agree, yeah, okay, I think this person meets the definition that they need respite. And then we go to the plan manager and say, are you going to pay that? Yes, this list has come out, and now we've had 3 rejected because they're not in a group home or a group facility.
I don't think it's that hard, but I'll tell
the
you.
thing that I'm seeing though as well is from a lot of delegates and advice given by the agency is that the expectation that the support costs are shared between multiple participants, which impacts like flexibility, but also dignity and autonomy, which are actually protected in the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with a Disability. And with these support ratios, say the total daily claimable amount, which includes like paying for a worker for 24 hours a day essentially, there's a component that is allocated, which is a reasonable amount for accommodation. There's a component there that goes towards food, and it's actually not all that much. Most of it's actual labour costs.
Yeah.
And sometimes just having a break, and this is where participants have been empowered to negotiate and get best value for money to bring those costs down. Some providers are slipping in extras to make it more appealing for participants, and it's the support intensity that's lower. Delegates are saying that say someone's at a 1-to-4 ratio, say the $1,800 amount a day would then be cut down to like $450. Now you're having to actually split those supports with 4 other people to make that viable. Now if you can't convince 4 disabled friends to go and spend time away with you at the exact same time, and there's a family crisis going down, or there's a lot of pressure at home and someone's really down on the weather and needs to take a break, it puts people at risk. When we're looking at holidays, which is a completely different story, in a lot of these instances, the everyday costs, so like the theme park tickets or whatever, that'd be expected to be paid out of pocket, and there's a number of providers that have done that for years. But when we're looking at the actual supports going away with someone on holidays, we're getting a lot of mixed reviews from the public and from participants, and it's actually causing quite a rift in the community in terms of people are seeing holidays as a luxury. Holidays themselves aren't funded by the NDIS, but I feel access and community inclusion should be. And the NDIS is taking quite an arbitrary approach to saying that if you're funded for 6 hours of support a week at home, where you've got a lot of informal supports, like you might have your neighbour that takes your bins in and different family members that help out, and like you're trying to get the best value for money, you go away from your regular environment where you're actually needing more support or needing to take someone along with you. It's understandable that you're actually going to have to take someone with you and pay them to do that. And there's external pressures like fair work obligations and like modern awards where people have to pay legally people to go away and spend time away from their family and to actually work. And if you were to go to like a provider or even like an independent worker and say to them, hey, I want to go up and have a holiday and go and visit like a long lost relative, or go to look at a new place to live, or do the things that most everyday Australians would normally do, and you're needing someone to go with you, and they're only getting paid to do like 6 hours of support, like for like something that might be a 2-day trip, what chance does a person with a disability have to negotiate that if that's the approach that the agency is taking to enforcement?
Yeah.
I have to find out about that because I haven't experienced that myself.
I
I know that STA is going to be an issue for me because I do have one participant who's funded 2 to 1.
Mm-hmm.
Mum desperately needs respite. He's tube fed every 4 hours, which she's been doing for 17 years. So she feeds him at midnight. She feeds him at 4 a.m. She feeds him at 8 a.m. She needs a break, but she also struggles with him not being there. So it's taken me a long time to convince her to.
She worries.
She worries to use the respite.
Yeah.
And so what we did is we booked an Airbnb that was in a 2-block radius of her house so that if something went wrong, she could be called and she could be there because she wasn't going to get a break worrying, he may as well not, he may as well not go away because she would just be worrying the whole way. Yeah. But the only way that she could get that break was knowing that she is literally within 5 minutes away so that if something goes wrong, she could be called because he's palliative as well. So, she needs to do that. So, he has to be by himself. He has to have 2 support workers with him at all times, and that's legitimate respite.
Absolutely.
But is it going to now be an issue? Possibly.
So, yeah,
you are his plan manager.
I know.
But if he's already funded 2 to 1, that's his ratio is sorted. But it's those that may not need more intensive support.
But I'm just saying that if you weren't his plan manager with some of the issues that we've been having with other people, I feel like they would say no. Yeah, look, I think under the new rules that can't happen.
I mean, we still don't have a lot of guidance from the NDIS around how they are going to apply these rules strictly, but absolutely eligible for respite STA. There is no concern. I think the first thing we always look at is what is the intent of STA respite. Is this person going to theme parks, on a holiday? Is it to give mum a break because she hasn't had a break in 25 years? She's been there for him the whole time. He's funded. There's no issues with that. That I can't, even if it's in an Airbnb, it's a total amount that's going to cover everything.
Yes.
And that's exactly what it's.
But are we going to at some point in time be asked for a specific breakdown, how much was the accommodation?
They can ask that now. The NDIS can ask that now.
Well, we're already seeing payment logs where they're targeting certain plan managers or participants or the like.
But yes.
And they're saying putting longer holds on payments and they're asking, it's a fair point to look in and check for fraud, but they're going down to minutiae in some instances.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think they're taking away the capacity building side of the STAs as well. Yeah. So I have a participant that I've literally just got onto the NDIS, and we talked about it at the plan meeting because he's born around 1996. He was born, about 20?
Young.
27. Vision impaired, never stayed away from mum, and likes to go to concerts, but always has to have mum or dad go to a concert. They don't like that sort of music. Yep. Got him onto the NDIS. Finally, you can have a support worker. And we talked about, because he's never been away from mum, and she has two children with the same disability. And we said, there might be opportunities for you to maybe get away and learn what it's like to be away from your parents, maybe get a hotel room. Yeah. You could, we could even have friends, because he doesn't go out with friends either, really, because he's worried. We could maybe book you a hotel room, you go with friends, we can have a support worker with you. I think that's a legitimate, I reckon that's a legitimate STA.
Yep.
Because we're building his capacity. He's getting the break from mum. Yep. Mum's getting the break from looking after him, but we're also building his capacity and taking him to a not even with friends necessarily, just taking him to go and stay in a hotel room by himself without his parents is, at 27-year-olds, is very overwhelming for him and is capacity building. But will it be covered?
And like the other thing that's interesting as well, like there's a big focus of like the disability reform roadmap and the like on building community capacity and investing into the capacity of the disability community and the like. When we're looking at some of these expenses, I think there was one around like concerts and the like or conferences. That can act as a restriction for people with a disability congregating and going to even disability-specific conferences and events. Like there's the ATSA Disability Expo as an example where they show a whole range of different AT items and the like. Now, participants say going on STA, staying there for something that's disability-specific.
Yep.
They might have their OT there, or there might even be multiple participants coming up there for that event. You can trial a whole host of different innovative new products that can address specific concerns in a responsive environment, whereas if they were to try to go and see some of these things at home, it might be available, especially if you're regional or rural as a participant.
Absolutely.
It wouldn't fit under other schemes, like if you're in New South Wales, there's the IPTAS program for isolated patients. It's not covering people with a disability for disability-specific transport.
I think that STA is going to be something that's going to be constantly talked about, and I feel like there's going to be some changes to STA, and we're going to get something clearer at some point in time.
I hope.
I think definitely.
But there's more there. If we just sort of skip to MTA or medium-term accommodation.
No, that's not in this list. We're not talking about that. We're sticking to the list, Mark.
It's still accommodation though.
No, we're sticking to the list because we're going to run out of time for this one, because I also want to bring up
Personal mobility
devices. So I have, for multiple participants, I'm going to say multiple participants with the same disability as me, and then some with multiple sclerosis who have families who go out on bike rides with their families but can't go to a shop and buy a standard bike. Now, back in the day, e-scooters were very rare, and just people with disability used to use them. Now you can buy them, but people that buy them now, they're buying them as a choice.
Yep.
People with specific disabilities are not buying them as a choice. They're buying them because if they want to partake in those family activities with their husband and their children, I'm saying husband and children because all the people I've got it for are all women, they need that e-scooter or some of them are an e-trike because they can't actually balance the bike. They need that to join in with their family.
Show me the other page there if you can.
think
that's on this side.
all I'm trying to...
That's where we are. And
So the thing that gets me, and I know that this was very rushed in terms of the writing, it doesn't specify there that it might be a standard personal mobility device. That could very well cover a wheelchair, like an electric wheelchair.
Yeah.
Like it's rush policy.
Yeah, it says personal mobility devices,
like
which is scooter, like one of the
or it could be an attachment to a wheelchair.
Yeah.
It's very vague.
Yeah.
The other thing that we've got to look at as well is it might be a modified device to help address that person's disability, like Freedom Wheels. I should be getting royalties for the names
I feel like when it comes to this, people should definitely put in a substitution for these items.
But like if you've got like say a modified electric trike, which is how different is that to a mobility scooter? Yeah. Like a mobility scooter is something that has sort of age connotations sometimes, and whereas like if you've got say an electric trike or something, at least it's pedal assist, which can help you to maintain motor function and maintain your capacity as much as possible.
I mean, we would be looking at one of these eventually for my granddaughter. Mm-hmm. I have two granddaughters on the scheme. One of them, I passed on my shitty genes to both of them. But one of them with her NDIS, she, you know, when you go out for a bike ride, she doesn't have the energy to make the pedals turn for a very long period of time. It's just the fatigue is too bad. So that means the whole family can't go out together and do what other families do. So yeah, it's.
I think these from a plan management perspective, a lot of this stuff won't fall under low cost, low risk from our perspective. So likely to need planner approval because the funding amount's going to be...
And do an AT request.
That's right.
Which all my people, we've had to put in an AT request and have it approved. But yeah, I mean, the other thing that's going to be an issue is transport for children as part of their reasonable care and support provided by families or carers. I think that's going to be an issue. We have multiple families where mum, dad and children are on the NDIS. And sometimes we are transporting those children with mum often, because if mum didn't have that disability, she would be doing that themselves. But that would be considered part of the reasonable care by the family, excepting mum is also disabled.
Yeah, and like if you were to sort of look at other schemes outside of the NDIS, the taxi subsidy scheme covers bugger all. Like you're only limited with a number of tickets.
Yeah.
The transport payment on the NDIS has always been a capped amount, and it's quite minimal. Like, so even if you're working full time, it's only around 130 or so a fortnight. That's what, 1 or 2 Uber trips from Shellharbour to Wollongong.
Yeah, and if you have where mum can't drive, and you've got 2 kids in a wheelchair, mum in a wheelchair, dad's got the car because dad's at work. Kids have got to get to school. It's pouring down rain. Kids can't get on the bus. You know, normally yes, a parent would take those kids to school, or they get public transport to school, but there are situations where they can't, but it would still be considered part of their reasonable care.
And I know that there's probably going to be critics out there saying, oh, but everyone has to drive and to travel places, but everyone has options. So like you can go and use public transport. Like if you're a pensioner, you can use New South Wales Transport for like $2.50 a day, and you covered.
But if you can walk, you can just get on any old bus. You don't have to worry about waiting for a bus that can actually get you on there. You don't have to. You can get in any taxi. You can. You know, you can actually get on any train station. There are multiple train stations around here where you can't even get onto the platform.
And like if you're looking at purchasing a modified vehicle, like it could be $60,000 plus for something new, especially. But like, there's a lot of barriers to entry to accessibility. Another example, I'll just say hey to Cat in regards to like the reference there to ATVs and the like. There's some people that live in like more rural locations or places that are a little bit more inaccessible, and they might need like a 4-wheeler as a practical alternative to a wheelchair, or even a Freedom Tracks to get down to the beach. Like, I don't know, this is a personal peeve of mine. The amount of advertising I see where there's a standard wheelchair sitting on a beach.
I know. How did it get on it? How did it get onto the sand?
Where's the beach mat?
Yeah.
You know, someone's got.
Right.
You know, as soon as you see that, you know that person's gone straight down to the local chemist and grabbed an off-the-shelf chair and then
carried
walked
it
that
out there.
chair out there and sat there. But,
I think one of the things to note too around the wording with the transport funding in the NDIS plans is that they have this contribution towards transport. So, you know, I think where a lot of people probably need to go with this is to provide some evidence around transport and get that increase.
Oh, yeah. Well, I will be with some of my participants, you know, if, like this particular family, for instance, there will be support workers put on, and I will provide the evidence as to why it's needed.
Absolutely.
Even though in a normal family, it would be the parental responsibility.
Yeah, that's right.
But in this instance, disability.
Yep.
From multiple people in the family stops that from happening.
Well, I know that there was a little project that we were looking at. It's very easy to actually track the increase in costs. Like even if we set up a simple transport tracking app and just subtract $2.50 a day off the total cost, that's the extra cost of actually travelling with a disability. If you were able to access public transport, you got a pensioner concession card and the like, it's all it costs you a day.
What a great tool to be able to use to show that evidence.
Awesome. Well, thank you, and I hope you enjoyed episode 6.